Hello guys and welcome back to some Frosti-Town, and today we're gonna be modeling something that I took an inspiration from, and I really wanted to model something like this. So if you want to watch the original video, it's Saqib Hussain, and he made a really great sci-fi corridor, sci-fi environment. And I watched his tutorial and I was like, okay, he did it, and I should try to do the same thing and show you guys slowly, because this video was really he told everything, but it was sort of a time lapse, like he was doing it fast, but he explained it very gracefully and he explained it very greatly. So what I did was I tried to make it, and I want to show you guys how I made it. So props and shout out, and really shout out to Saqib because he did this work really gracefully. So I really liked his work, and I was like, let's try to model this, because I'm still a beginner, but it was a challenge for me to make something like this. So let's go guys, let's try to make what Saqib made, and I'm gonna walk you through it. So let's see. Let's start with this. Okay, first thing Saqib did was he beveled these to right about here. Then he added a loop cut over here and over here. We go to faces, we delete these faces, and we go to the right angle, and we go to X-ray mode and delete these phases. Next thing what we're gonna do is we're gonna select these phases and we're gonna extrude them out a little bit. I'm gonna select these phases and we're gonna extrude them out to right about there. Next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna mirror it to right about there. Increase it a little bit on the x-axis. Alright, what we're gonna do is we are going to, come on, I'm gonna create some loop cuts. I'm gonna go to face select and we're gonna extrude them inwards to right about there, and or how about we inset them individually like this and extrude them inwards. Next thing what we're gonna do is we're gonna create, no, not a plane, we're gonna create a cube. I'm gonna scale it on the x-axis, scale it on the z-axis, and we are going to rotate it on the z-axis to right about there. I'm gonna scale it on the y-axis to right about there. I'm gonna scale it on the z-axis to right about there. We can go to the right view and rotate it to right about here, and I'm gonna bring it right here. And I'm gonna bring it a little bit down like this. Shift D and G, Shift D and G, Shift D and G, Shift D and G. something like this, guys. Alright, next thing what he did was he created a cube, scale it down, bring it here, bring it right about here. Let's go into edge select mode, select these edges, let's control B them to right about there. And let's create a cylinder, RX90, scale that down, bring it here, scale it down, bring it down to right about there. Bring it a little bit outwards, bring it up, scale it down, Shift D, G and Z to right about here. I'm gonna Shift D this, G and X, bring it right about here, Shift D, G and Z, Shift D, G and X, Shift D, G and Y, no, not that, Shift D, G and Y, let's rotate it to right about there, G and Y, Shift D, G and Z, to right about there. Next thing what we're gonna do is we're gonna create a cylinder, RY90, scale it down, G and Y, let's select this guy, we're gonna bring it up, and we're gonna go into face select, and we're gonna extrude it over here, and I'm gonna extrude over here. I'm gonna scale this guy down, scale on the x-axis, G and X, S and X, G and X, bring it a little bit upwards, Shift and D, G and Z, Shift D, G and Z, Shift D, G and Z, right about here. Shift D, G and X, Shift D, G and Z, G and X, bring it all the way here, and we're gonna select these guys, G and X, G and Z, to right about there. Shift D. And we're gonna move them to right about here. Shift D, G and Z, move them right about here, a little bit upwards. I'm gonna select these guys, Shift D, and we're gonna rotate them to right about there. Okay, so far so good. Alright, the next thing what we're gonna do is we are going to face select, and what we should be doing is we're gonna add some loop cuts. To right about here. I'm gonna add a loop cut over here, and I'm gonna bevel this, and I'm gonna go into face select. We're gonna select these phases, and we're gonna extrude them up to right about there. And we're gonna select these guys. I'm gonna extrude them inwards just a little bit, right about there. Alright, next thing what we're gonna do is we're gonna create a loop cut over here. I'm gonna go into face select, and we're gonna create a loop cut over here. I'm going to face select, and we're gonna select these phases. I'm gonna inset them in, bring them upwards, and what next? I'm gonna select these guys. No, just these guys. I'm gonna extrude them out, so we have something like this. I'm gonna select these guys, and I'm gonna give this we're gonna select another material. I'm gonna give this an emission, give it orange color, strength of, let's give it 5, and a sign, let's give it 2. Okay, next thing what we're gonna do is we're gonna create a plane, and we're gonna scale it down. I'm gonna bring it down here. bring it down right about here. Scale it, and I'm gonna bring it right about here, and I'm gonna bring it to right about there, a little bit upwards. There we go. Just a little bit to the side. To right about there. I'm gonna go into edit mode. I'm gonna subdivide this by, let's say, 13, and we're gonna give it a wireframe, and we're gonna shift D this, G and X, shift D, G and X. I'm gonna select all these, G and X, bring it right about here, and I'm gonna shift D, G and X. Let's get rid of the shadow. Let's turn the mirror back on and select these guys, shift and D, G and Y, bring it back over here to right about here. There we go. I'm gonna shift D this, G and Z, R, Y, R, X 90, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna put it right about here, and we're gonna bring it G and Y right about here. We're gonna shift D this, G and Y, G and Y to right about here. Alright. Next thing what we're gonna do is we're gonna create, first we're gonna get rid of the mirror, and gonna hide these guys. I'm gonna create a cylinder RX RY90, scale it down, bring it down over here, select these faces again. And I'm gonna extrude them up a little bit. Bring it right about here, scale it down. And I'm gonna go into the face select, and I'm gonna extrude it to right about here. I'm gonna select the spin tool and I'm gonna shift, and we're gonna right click right over here, and that's too close. Shift and right click. Select this face. I'm gonna shift and right click, and we are going to create another. Rotate it down to right about here, scale it down a little bit, bring it down to right about there, scale it down, bring it down right about there. We're gonna Alt H and gonna go back to the mirror. I'm gonna shift. First we're gonna move this a little bit over here. I'm gonna shift D this, G and Y, and I'm gonna bring it right about here. So basically we are done. Next thing what we're gonna do is I'm gonna select this and I'm gonna give it some material. I'm gonna give it a metallic material. Bring the roughness down a little bit. Oh, sorry. Bring the color down a little bit. And I'm gonna give this. I'm gonna give these guys same material. I'm gonna select these guys and I'm gonna give them something like orange, metallic, gonna select these guys. We're gonna give them the same black texture. I'm gonna give these guys some orange texture, metallic texture orange. Give this a metallic. And we're gonna give these guys some dark, come on, no, not that one, this one. Next thing what we're gonna do is we're gonna unselect, we're gonna hide the camera, and we are going to delete the light. We're gonna press A, select all, press M, go to scene collection, write it whatever, press OK, and go to the right view, shift right click. We're gonna press shift A, and we're gonna go to collection instance whatever, and we're gonna bring it right about here. Shift A, whatever, GNX, Shift A, whatever, GNX, Shift A, whatever, GNX. So we have something like this. Next thing what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to our first one, and I'm going to face select, and going to inset. Gonna inset them a little bit, bring them inwards. Let's inset them a little bit more and bring them a little bit down. Let's select these guys and inset them a little bit and bring them inwards. So we have something like this. Next thing what we're gonna do is we're gonna press Shift A and we're gonna create a light, area light. I'm gonna go into right view and I'm gonna bring it to right about, we're gonna rotate it to right about here, and I'm gonna scale it on the x-axis, scale it on the z-axis to right about there. I'm gonna bring it to right about here, G and X, bring it a little bit upwards, and I'm gonna give it an orange texture, orange color. I'm gonna Shift D this, bring it here, Shift D, bring it here, Shift D, bring it here, Shift Shift D, G and X, and press Shift D, go to the right view, rotate it to right about here, and bring it right about here. Shift D, G and X, and bring it right about here. Shift D, G and X, right about here. Shift and no, what did I do? Shift and tilde, go a little bit forward. Shift and D, G and X, Shift and D, G and X, to right about there. Let's select this guy, give it a strength of 15, maybe 30. Control Alt 0, Shift and tilde, bring it back a little bit and set up the camera. To right about there. Unhide the camera, go to the camera, bring it back a little bit, Shift and tilde, right about there. Shift and A, let's create an empty, and let's go to the camera, DOF, and select the empty. Bring it all the way down, just right about there. Let's go into cycles, GPU compute, hit render. Let's see how it looks, guys. So this is how it looks like in cycles. Now what if we go into Eevee and we render this? So there you go, guys. Massive thanks to Saqib Hussain for showing this tutorial, making it possible, and I learned a lot from that tutorial. And I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. Give it a like. If you like this, give it a like, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, comment, share, let other people know. And thank you so much, guys. We're 62 subscribers in. Let's get to 100. And thank you so much, guys, for all the love, all the support. And as always, Frosti-Town signing out.